I'm going to walk you through the most important product management skills. My name is Alex. I used to be a Google Group PM, and now I run the Product Career Accelerator, where we help proactive and experienced PMs get into the top tech, high-paid product manager roles. Today, we're going to be doing a comprehensive walkthrough of all the key product management skills. These are needed to do well on the job, of course, but in the interview as well. And these are the exact skills that we evaluate inside PCA, the Product Career Accelerator, in resume review sessions or behavioral interview preparation. Feel free to use this as a checklist to assess your own skills and see what you may need to improve. If you are new to product management, this will help you understand what to expect in the interviews and, of course, on the job. If you are applying for product manager roles right now, use this as a checklist for your resume. If you're getting ready for PM interviews, these are going to be the skills you need to demonstrate. So let's go over all of these. Just to get ahead, we're going to be talking about 6 main categories: product development, leadership and execution, strategy and planning, business and marketing, project management, technical and analytical. And there's a few general skills that I'll talk about as well. Just as a reminder, this is product management in tech, usually for big tech companies, but also for mid-stage and late-stage startups as well. All right, so first on our list is product development. This is maybe not surprising. And within product development, we've got a few key categories and areas that I want to talk about. Let's talk about product ideation first. This means 0 to 1 stuff. This is coming up with ideas, coming up with prototypes, also refining these and iterating these. And also this kind of contains within it this concept of innovation, creativity, and in general, creating something from nothing. When I talk about product design, it's a little bit differently. This has to do with maybe taking an existing product and iterating on it, maybe fixing some things, and in general, designing with the customer, the end customers in mind, whether that's internal, external, whatever, but you're designing with impact in mind. On product improvement side, often you're going to be thinking about existing or new feature developments, so different areas. You're going to be thinking about many aspects of the products or the business, thinking about the user experience before interacting with your product, during and after. You're thinking about not just the product itself, but the business, the fundamental business underneath. And you're thinking about different types of users. Sometimes this is different user segmentation. Sometimes this could be customers, users, beta testers, whatever. Next one on our list is problem solving. And let's see what we've got in here. So in general, this is root cause analysis, thinking about why some metric dropped or why some change happened in the business or in the product. But also it's choosing what to build, even in different situations and environments, and handling escalations and other problems that happen during development. Another aspect is UX and UI. This is user experience and user interface. So we've got the actual design of whatever it is the user is experiencing, or the redesign, the visual elements. Also the flows itself, the onboarding path, the first-time user experience, retention, engagement, and interaction with actual elements of the interface. On the user research side of things, this can be quantitative, it can be qualitative. Quantitative meaning looking at the data and seeing what users do. Qualitative meaning actually asking users. So this might be working with a researcher in order to do a study of some kind, or doing it yourself if you're in a smaller company or organization. But this largely has to do with users' experience of how they interact with the product, what are they trying to do, what do they think about it. That's the qualitative side. Customer empathy, I kind of threw in here as the last one in product development because you're going to need it throughout your product management career in general. This is like 10 times during any discussion, thinking about, well, what is the user trying to solve in this situation? What is the user's experience? What are they thinking about? What do they like? Who are they? And as a general, just like putting the user first and remembering all of the nuances of that experience. What happens first? What happens next? The user journey, what happens throughout their experience. This is also a reminder to think about the problem, think about the pain points that are actually experienced, and design from that. Design your products from that. So this is all product development. Everything kind of rolls into the types of products that you ultimately design, build, deliver, and iterate for your customers. The second big group is leadership and execution. And this is comprised of leadership, team management, execution, end-to-end implementation, and stakeholder management. Let's break these down. Leadership, sort of straightforward. You're trying to align your small team or your cross-functional team or even your big organization or even the entire business or multiple businesses to go in the same direction. You are leading the business from an ROI perspective. What should we invest in? From a resource management perspective, what should we invest in first? And you're getting your cross-functional team, whoever it is that you're leading, excited. I mean, that's the job of a leader, and that is often the job of a product manager. It means you're getting your entire team oriented in the same direction and actually executing, getting things moving. Team management, the more specific team level, in product managers, even if you are an IC, individual contributor product manager, you might have to participate in hiring, participate in training and coaching, and even firing, getting rid of, and basically augmenting your team. This also, of course, means building and empowering the teams themselves. This is your team that might report to you or your cross-functional team of which you are an unofficial leader. And of course, you manage the career development of your team, your direct reports, and then you influence a lot of the other cross-functional folks that work or may work with you. Execution is basically getting things done. It's just shipping. It's pushing through and actually launching or getting to the launch. It's focusing on what's the next problem for us to solve. It is unblocking yourself, unblocking others on your team, just getting things done. That's what execution is all about. There's another element to execution, which is about goal setting and metrics, and we'll touch upon it in a little bit later. End-to-end implementation means it's full ownership. Everything basically is your problem. It's like the exaggeration is you've got to sweep up the floor and turn off the lights in the office, in the store when you're done. You're like the last to leave, the first in. But really, that is what that means: is the entire product area, whatever you're responsible for, you have a full responsibility and full accountability for it. So you own the outcomes. Stakeholder management is managing information flow, being a connector, over-communicating, getting alignment and buy-in from multiple people inside the organization, outside, and then getting leadership. So your manager, your manager's manager, but also ICs, people on the ground that are actually doing the things, aligned. You need to own kind of top-down and bottom-up stakeholder management. Next big area is strategy and planning. This includes strategy, vision, planning itself, a competitive market analysis, making decisions, prioritizing from certain things, and then goal setting. This is that part of execution that we kind of put in this area. Let's start from strategy. This means thinking through the quarterly plans, of course, monthly plans, annual plans, your risk and mitigation paths, what happens, what could happen, and what will we do if it does happen, and of course, which direction should we go, what should we invest in, who should we partner with. It's all of the key strategy things. Which business should we get into? Now, which vertical should we invest in? Why? And this is the why is the vision. So why should we do anything? What's the why behind everything that we do? Planning means managing the schedules. This is like project schedules and road mapping, and also just sort of being the organizational beacon. You ultimately are responsible for the outcomes, and therefore, if there's any bottleneck, you're responsible for it. So organizationally, you have to be one of the strongest elements on that team, on a cross-functional team, I mean. Competitive and market analysis effectively just means you need to understand the business side. You need to understand who else is involved in the market, what else are they offering, how are they different, how are you different, what are your ultimate competitive advantages, and weave that into product development, right? And weave that into the strategy and planning. Decision making, this is the day-to-day, week-to-week work of a product manager. How do we make our decisions? What are the frameworks that we leverage? What are the trade-offs that we should consider? What are the pros and cons? Should we do this? Should we do that? Ultimately, starting from goal setting, what's actually important for our customer and business? What are the set of goals that we could pursue, and what are we going to pursue? What are the key metrics that we should look at? What is the North Star metric that we should look at? And then in terms of making decisions, how do we navigate trade-offs? Should we pursue this metric or that metric? This goal or that goal? Why? And how do we know whether we're going the right way? 2x2s is sort of an easy way of thinking about like decision frameworks. It's like a 2x2. Should we do or not do these things? There's a 2x2 variable, and you make a decision on one of them. It's like a key consulting framework. And stack ranking, which is making decisions based on a certain number of factors, evaluating each factor, and then coming up with a number that effectively tries to aggregate all of that and tell you a recommended direction. But fundamentally, all this means is just you're coming up with ways to make a decision, backing it up with as much data, realistic, usable data as you can, and then making the case for it. Prioritization is a little bit of the same thing, which you're saying, what should we do first? What should we do second? Managing the backlog, thinking about bottlenecks. Where's the bottleneck to the business, to the usability? Aligning that to the North Star metric, to the things that are important to us, and then figuring out ultimately opportunity costs. What do we give up for what? Or what is the opportunity cost of certain things? Goal setting is obviously in here. We kind of started from that. And that kind of wraps up our strategy and planning section. Next one is a little bit separate, is business and marketing. And this one includes your understanding of not your company, but business in general, sort of how to do well in business, how to do well in marketing. How do you go to market? This is GTM, taking things to market, taking the projects to market and launching them. It's your entrepreneurial background. It's your partner and collaborator management and negotiation. So let's unpack these a little bit. Business acumen, just you need to understand the market in general, not your market necessarily, but the business world, a little bit in the broader sense of things. Different targets, market, industries, verticals, profit and loss. You need to think not only about the user experience, but also the revenue component or the profitability component, and how all of these things are measured, and ultimately how these things develop over a longer time horizon. From a marketing perspective, don't forget about acquisition. A lot of times product managers forget about acquisition, but product manager is ultimately also responsible for awareness, not just the usage of the product, but how do they find out? How do the users know about the product to begin with? And then on the back end, you got the referral loops. How do we make sure that users tell other users, and there's some virality in there built in, and there's some management of some follow-ups after the usage of your product. Go-to-market principles. This is prep for launch, affiliates and partnerships, trying to manage the launch, having a strong base from which you can iterate, managing KPIs, initial launch KPIs, and then longer iterative KPIs. What's important, and again, what's the North Star metric? Entrepreneurial, just if I could just summarize it, would be find a solution to any problem. Basically, don't stop until you find a solution. And partner and stakeholder, collaborator management often means clear deliverables, organization, clear milestones, and clear arrangements in terms of who is doing what and who's responsible for what, outcomes and deliverables. Negotiation, this means everything that is included in your product or in your business. This could be negotiating contracts, suppliers, contractors, and negotiating with other teams for resources, for instance. Negotiating with your executives for what you can get and what you will deliver for it. Project management, very specifically, we hit upon the organizational piece a little bit earlier, but I just want to separately talk about project management as a key part of the product manager's portfolio of skills, because you just need to manage these projects. You need to understand the software development lifecycle, agile best practices, get kind of the trains moving on time, everybody in the right direction, the right people that need to be consulted or accountable for things, interacting in the right way, and just have a good, strong organizational base. Backlog management, agile development in general, that's kind of the standard nowadays. And that can be something as kind of structured agile, safe, or it could just be the spirit of agile, where you're sort of iterating and moving quickly and empowering the team. Risk management is also under the purview of the product manager. It's actively, what do you do when a risk has materialized, and what do you do before that, and to anticipate some of these risks, mitigation paths, and rank them by likelihood. And of course, roadmap management is integral to the product manager. Product manager always owns lots of different roadmaps. You've got internal roadmaps for your teams and external ones for your customers. You've got core product team roadmaps, and then you've got your sales-facing roadmaps that maybe is not quite, maybe is a little bit more conservative, because sales tends to like to move things faster. You've got your short-term, long-term roadmaps. You maintain these roadmaps. You over-communicate them, and a lot of times, that's where the alignment is actually put together. Again, external facing, internal ones. And you could just spend a lot of time on roadmap management. And final one is technical and analytical. This is technical acumen. So some things you should know if you're in software product management or tech product management, APIs, databases, system architecture, and in general, kind of how the internet works is handy to have. And then beyond that, of course, there's specific domains that you could invest in if you're interested to pursue roles there, like AI, for instance. Analytical skills, we talked a little bit about this above and with the trade-offs and decision making, but I'll just throw in opportunity cost, which is another element that the product manager should really think about and is not often thought about at the PM level. Data analysis, so SQL, nowadays helped by AI, dashboards, analytical tools, but all for the purpose of tracking the right KPIs, keeping an eye on the health of your product, and keeping an eye on a North Star metric. Experimentation, of course, A/B tests, pretty much data talks. You're going to be doing tests pretty much for everything. So that means understanding how experimentation works, understanding how kind of the common mistakes around holding variables constant, and understanding sort of the base statistical concepts and everything else around experimentation. The process design is very often done by product managers. There's a lot of internal processes that happen, and of course, external user-facing ones as they experience your product. And system design, heavily collaboration with engineers on how a certain thing will be built. Yes, this is mainly managed by engineers, but a lot of times PMs will have things to say about them when you're designing various systems within your product. And general skills, which we probably should have started from because you need these in spades, are communication, collaboration, presentation, and storytelling. So communication, first of all, this is written in long form, short form. This is verbal, obviously spoken. This is contextual communication. How do you keep certain things very short and maybe certain things a paragraph long and then maybe a document, a couple pages for something else? So how do you communicate? One-to-one, one-to-many, different types of communication styles, and you need to be an expert on all of them. And then introvert versus extrovert. How do you communicate with different people that are different on the spectrum of introversion versus extroversion? Collaboration is working with all these folks, empowering others, being able to spread the praise, but taking the responsibility. And of course, this is like doing what you say you will do. Presentation, meaning you're going to be doing a lot of decks, a lot of docs. You're going to be writing up a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of commentary that you're going to be adding. You're going to be asking others for commentary. So it's going to be nonstop writing and presenting in various avenues to your team, to cross-functional groups, to your executives, right? When you're asking for alignment or buy-in or resources or whatever, it's a nonstop thing. So you have to be good at decks, creating decks, compelling decks. And storytelling elements comes into play there as well. You've got to ultimately get people excited about what we're building. You got to get people bought in to actually do the difficult things that need to be done. All right, that's a lot of skills. I hope you enjoyed that. Please use this as a rough checklist. Don't worry if you don't have all of these. It's kind of always a product in progress. But this is a great checklist, whether you're trying to get into refine your resume or actually practice for your interviews. And if this is interesting, you'd like to partner with us on getting into your next product manager role, then please look in the description. There's a link how you can schedule a time to chat with us, and perhaps we can work together. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.